Welcome to another video in this pre-webinar series. I'm Jess Sherman, the author of Raising Resilience. In the last video, I talked about why there is so often a bit of doubt lingering in the air when you suggest to someone that food might be playing a part in a child's tantrums or aggression or anxieties or hyperactivity or their focus problems. And we framed out a bit of a different way of thinking about your child's behavior, which helps to understand why food matters so much. If you missed that session, you'll find a link to it in an email from me, so go back and be sure to watch it. Now, over the last 6 years, I've been looking specifically at the connection between the brain, behavior, the health of the body, and food, and teaching parents about this perspective on self-regulation. In this video, I'm sharing with you the #1 obstacle that often stands in the way of a lot of parents and how to overcome it so it's not a problem for you. And that obstacle is overwhelm. Too much information, not enough focus, direction, or support. So let me tell you a story. Recently, I had a call with a woman I'm going to call Carla. That's not her real name, but we'll call her Carla. Carla had an 8-year-old boy, Ben, who had been diagnosed 4 years before with severe ADHD and possibly mild autism. Jess, she said, we have tried everything. We've tried changing diet. I ordered all the stuff off of Amazon. I bought everything I could from the health food stores. Nothing has worked. I tried supplements and we went gluten-free and we even tried the GAPS diet. We used essential oils. We switched schools. On and on she went, listing the protocols they'd tried, the books she had read, the forums she was a part of. We even tried medication, she told me. But for Ben, it made him extremely dark and moody and anxious, so they stopped. Carla had this kind of nervous chatter in her voice, an edge to her voice that when she was telling the story that I recognized was kind of teetering, like she was totally burnt out, but she actually wouldn't let herself fall apart because if she did, her child would be lost. So she went on and on with her story, really needing to share it, to get it out. Ben won't settle at night until 2 in the morning. He was just suspended from his second school. What's his diet like? I asked him, of course. Oh, she said, exasperated. He'll only eat bananas, bread, yogurt, and carrots. And I asked about his poops. What's he pooping like? He pooped every 3 days, but the doctor wasn't worried about it. I was worried about that. How could this kid feel good if he pooped only every 3 days? And now, she said, she continued on with her story, he's started lashing out aggressively at me and his 2 sisters. So after a bit of silence, after a bit of gathering her breath after her story, she said, I just want him to be healthy, but I don't know what else to do. I need him to sleep. I need him to feel better. I need him to go to school, and I need this to stop. So where Carla was at, what she was going through was kind of to be expected because for 4 years, she had had no direction, no support, little guidance, nobody to talk with her about biological stress, about nutritional deficiencies because of the picky eating, about the constipation, about how to get him to sleep, all factors that were likely related to his outbursts, right? Symptoms of overall health that are so common to this group of kids that struggle to self-regulate, but are so often brushed off as unimportant. Since medication was the only option she was offered, and since it wasn't a good tool for her, she was off on her own, and she was spinning her wheels. Now, why I bring up Carla's story is because Carla knew intuitively everything that I'm saying in these videos, right? She knew that her kid was not broken. She knew that despite the diagnosis, there was a reason he was aggressive, a reason he wasn't sleeping, a reason he wasn't eating, beyond just the label, underlying contributors. But she just didn't know how to understand what she was seeing or what to do about it. And she was burning out because these insights about behavior, the ones that I believe, the ones that she believed, the ones I'm presenting in these videos, and we'll talk more about when we're live together, this idea that improving the health of the body can influence behavior, the idea that what and how we eat can improve health and function and can actually change how we think and feel and behave, it's a different way of understanding our kids. And while Carla knew it and understood it intuitively, she had no one around her to affirm her and keep her moving on this path. Now, there's always more to the story than food, particularly in severe cases like Ben's. But here's the thing. When our kids are struggling, we rise up to help them, right? It's just an intuitive, almost superhuman impulse. But when we don't know how to help them, all sorts of feelings rise up. Panic and shame and guilt and frustration, of course, exhaustion, right? Everything Carla was feeling. She wasn't moving forward because she needed a system. She needed a way to organize her work with her son and understand him better so that she wasn't just shooting in the dark. She needed someone to hold the big picture for her so she could put one foot in front of the other. And above all else, what she needed was a support system around her of people who got it, people who understood what she was trying to do and didn't think she was crazy, right? In the live webinar that you signed up for, I'll be giving you an opportunity to take a different path, a strategic path that is based on nourishment and support, and that takes into consideration the resources that you have to work with. You have 3 bank accounts to consider: your energy, your time, and your money. And you can only work as quickly or as deeply as those will allow if you want to avoid getting overwhelmed and stuck. Now, in Carla's case, all 3 of her bank accounts were in the red. And because of that, her relationship with her husband was faltering, as was her relationship with her 2 kids. Ben wasn't getting better, and she was running on fumes and starting to resent her life and her son. And she was so caught up in trying to help him and so depleted by her efforts that she forgot to see him. She forgot to see his strength. She couldn't see his uniquenesses and his abilities. She couldn't appreciate him because he was causing so much trouble. And she was so dedicated to him and yet so sapped by him that she started to resent him. And that was feeling awful to her as a mom and leading to her overwhelm. There's a roadmap, a system that you can use to help your kids. A system for uncovering potential biological stressors that are being missed because, unfortunately, not everyone understands that the health of the body influences the function of the brain. Following a map and joining in a community to get support is the way that you avoid overwhelm and you keep moving forward. We have so much more to talk about. In these short videos, I've introduced you to some insights about child behavior, about how the body and the brain interact, and about how to focus your energy so that you can help your kid. This is really important foundational stuff to understand, but the main event is still to come. In the live webinar that's coming up, I'll lay out for you this roadmap along with the 3 most important things you need to know and do to successfully implement this approach with your kids. You should have an email about it from me with the info on how to join the live webinar, so flag it and mark it in your calendar so that you can come live. You don't have to do this on your own. Come live to the webinar so that we can dive deeper and get you started. I'll see you there.